I want to say something about this cloud identity access management. I see it all the time. If you have all of your cloud applications hooked up to a single authentication, so you're using like an Okta or something, and you're pulling all that in, and everything is tied in with SSO, and so you've locked it down that way. That's great. A lot of companies don't do that though. They do that kind of, and then they have grand schemes of including everything, and they kind of get to it and they kind of don't get to it. So then there's these other applications that are over here that are cloud that they're not really under that. They're signing in, and then people leave the company, they forget about it, they don't turn the access off. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. So that's the whole point of this. It's just to develop the concept for your privileged identity and access management. So really, again, risk-based approach. Develop the process for all of your identity and access management, all of it. But focus on privilege because those are your highest risks. So that's a risk-based approach, right? And figure out how you're going to do this. And this includes the onboarding processes, the offboarding processes when somebody terminates. I call it the change boarding process. When I change jobs, do I still need that level of access? And looking at all of that and making sure that those processes in place, having appropriate roles, security groups within the platforms, within however the data and the systems are accessed, and then tying people's job roles to that and what really is needed. And you can buy these whiz bang tools that will implement all of that for you. That's great. But guess what? They don't design it for you. They implement it. You design it. And so there's the difference, right? So have a strategy, have a way that you're managing this, because access is the easiest way in. Because if I have your username and password, I'm in. And so that's super easy. And so, especially in the cloud, it's available anywhere in the world, right? And you know those bad actors are constantly hitting those things. We see it written up in the news. And so just have that strategy in place and then implement it. If you can buy a whiz bang tool to do it for you, do it. If you have to do it manual, that's fine. Just do it manual well. That's it. Okay, 4, cloud security posture management. I love this. One of the most important security requirements for the public cloud is to avoid misconfigurations. And then if you do a misconfiguration, have a way to monitor it and fix it quickly. This is not just a question about having the right tools. Tools alone do not solve problems. People do, not tools. The tools implement what people design and the problems that people have established. The tools just work to automate and implement that. But we cannot forget that. So many times people want to buy the tool and click the button and the tool's done. No, the tool just does what you tell it to do. And if what you tell it to do is not very good, which a lot of times isn't, it's not really giving you the value that you paid for the tool. And so that's exactly what this guy is saying. And then training, and then in the development and testing, so basically using your SDLC, your software development lifecycle, even around these cloud applications and these cloud deployments, for how do we develop and test, how do we configure, how do we test that configuration, how do we align to the vendor's standard of what they suggest. There's all those components. It's not just whip out your credit card, I bought the tool, oh look at that, I set up a user ID, I set you up too, we're good to go. Start uploading data. That's the capability, right? But that's huge caution, and so that's what he's saying here. And then automate incident response, number 5. Incidents need to be detected early and solved quickly. And then if a root cause analysis needs to be done, then do the root cause analysis. So this is awesome. He says, I love this. He says playbooks and runbooks eliminate repetitions and provide quick solutions for remediation. So I work with companies all the time and nobody likes to document. I get it. Everybody hates it. They hate documenting. Most tech people and cybersecurity people will tell you it's a waste of their time, but it's not. Because having it documented brings people together with the same understanding. Now I'm not doing what I think I should do and I'm doing what I think I I should do, and I kind of do a root cause when I feel like it, and I kind of do it when I think I need it. There's no synergy in that. That's not how you run a company. That's not how you run a company well, or really at all, quite honestly. And so that's the whole point of this. Have your run books, have your playbooks. Don't make them paperweights. It's not, the goal is not to have a 4,000 page document. Ooh, look at me. Mine's good. Mine's better than yours. It's thicker. Nobody's reading it. Make it where it's intelligible, it's readable. It's not just a bunch of fluff, but it's something to bring everybody on the same page and to help them understand this is the expectation in the case of an incident, and really across your organization, to be quite honest, especially key areas. And again, if you take a risk-based approach, then you know those key areas, and so you want to make sure and at least have your run books and your playbooks or SOPs, whatever you call them, in those areas, which incident response would be huge. And then I love this: without visibility, there is no efficiency, and without efficiency, there is no real incident response. And so, and then I love this: just remember, there is no status quo in cybersecurity and risk management. Like gardening, security and risk management needs constant upkeeping as cyber criminals continue to look for loopholes. And that is so much the lesson of the day. So you want to automate what you can automate, especially with these incident response. You want to have good documentation where all the members of the team understand. And especially in the case of incident response, that typically goes right up the chain, all the way to the CEO, all the way up to the board. There's notification, there's communication. Sometimes you have to call the authorities. There's all these moving parts. And so in the moment, you don't want to be trying to figure that out. You want to have that well documented and everybody understands what that looks like. And then it's never set it and forget it. Just like his gardening example, you're constantly tending it, constantly pulling out the weeds, constantly pruning it, constantly doing research of, oh, how come something's eating this, and what do I need to do over here? And it's the same exact principle with this. And so these were tactics to protect the cloud. And so the cloud has to be protected. Just because it's in the cloud or it's a big name company like Microsoft, you don't get a pass that you don't have to do anything with cybersecurity. That is ridiculous. Quite to the contrary, it's out in the world now, so you really probably need to think about it even beefier, that, oh, I'm exposed to the world now. And every bad actor knows about Azure, every bad actor knows about AWS, they know about all these main platforms. They're constantly trying to hit them, and they're going to go for the weakest link, which is poorly configured, poorly managed, poorly monitoring, all the things that we talked about here, and you don't want to be that one. Go to the channel, subscribe so that you can receive updates of future videos, and I appreciate you hitting the like button.